Why did I share all of this with you? All of this to show you that the hypocrites are actually being compared with the example of the Israelites. And if you look at the entire record of the Israelites in Surah Al-Baqarah, you come away with a few things. The most important lesson is that they detached themselves. They had no original connection with their book. They had no direct connection with their book. The vast majority of them are uneducated people, uneducated in the religion. They don't know the book except their own assumptions, their own wishful thoughts. So they have no real knowledge of the revelation that was given to them. Okay, they believe in the book, they recite the book, they celebrate the book, they listen to it, they chant it, but they don't actually think about it. They don't think about what's being said. And if they thought about it, they would know this is the Prophet of Allah and they should change their ways, right? That would be the case. And Allah is basically warning that there's what happened before where people called themselves believers, but they had an artificial relationship with Allah's revelation. Now, let me ask you again, what was the first story? Adam alayhi salam was told, listen, I'm sending you on the earth. If and when any guidance comes from me, whoever follows it will have no fear on them, nor shall be the ones in depression and in grief. Allah told Adam alayhi salam, guidance will be coming. And who received full-on guidance? The Israelites. And then they took that guidance and instead of following it, they made their relationship with that guidance artificial. Allah gave them a book, and the book became used for ceremonies, for weddings, for birthdays, for funerals. The book got used for special occasions. The book got used on special religious seasons. The book was recited beautifully. Some parts of it were memorized. Parties were thrown when you memorized it. That was the book. But the nation openly was violating left, right, and center what the book was actually saying. Openly, while saying, we love this book. Man, the way it sounds is so beautiful. I memorized like half of it. Wow, mashallah. You memorized half? That's amazing. Now, am I really talking about the Israelites? It sounds scary, huh? Sounds scary. Allah is telling us this is what they did and their hearts became hard. Whenever we're thinking about our religion, in the backdrop is actually the people who came before us. And Surah Al-Baqarah made sure that we think like that. That was one of the objectives of Surah Al-Baqarah. So now we're made a new nation. Our Qibla is changed. By the way, the third test was who? The third test is Adam's test, Israelite test, and then what's the third test? Good, Ibrahim alayhi salam's test. And Ibrahim alayhi salam is interesting. He passes all his tests. And then he's got this special status with Allah because he passed all these tests. And then he makes a dua. And he makes the dua that, Ya Allah, with my son Ismail, from his descendants, there should be one messenger that comes who reads your revelations, who teaches them the book, who teaches them wisdom, and he purifies them. From the line of Ismail, who came? Muhammad Rasulullah came, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when he was given, Yatlu alayhim ayatihi, which month did that begin in? So actually Ramadan is a celebration of the answer to the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Ramadan is finally when Allah answered the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And what does Ibrahim alayhi salam remind you of when it comes to tests? Don't fail. Don't fail. Pass with flying colors. Allah tested him and he completed all the tests. We are celebrating something that started with Adam. We are being warned not to turn this celebration into who turned it into? The Israelites, and we are being reminded to keep the spirit of Ibrahim alayhi salam alive in the month of Ramadan. The only way we can do that is we develop a genuine relationship with this book. Every single individual develops a genuine relationship with this book. One thing about Ibrahim alayhi salam I'll highlight. Ibrahim alayhi salam followed the truth no matter who didn't like it. When he was a young man, his dad didn't like it. When he was a little bit older, his society didn't like it. And he stood by the truth no matter if everybody in the world hated him and were okay with throwing him into a fire. That's okay. I'm not letting go of what I believe. I stand by I'm not afraid of my culture. I'm not afraid of my peers. I'm not afraid of people that are more powerful than me. I'm not afraid of my family. I will stand against anyone in my loyalty to Allah. What does the loyalty to Allah look like today? The loyalty to Allah, now that the Quran came, is loyalty to the book of Allah. Hold on to Allah and hold on to the rope of Allah. What's the rope of Allah? The Quran is one thing. Like Ibrahim alayhi salam was loyal to his Rabb, we can only show loyalty to our Rabb by being loyal to what? The Quran. You know what we've done? We have partial loyalty to the book of Allah. When it comes to money matters, partial loyalty to the Book of Allah. When it comes to cultural matters, partial loyalty to the Book of Allah. And then we say that we are the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When I mindfully read the Quran, and then I look at myself, I look at my family, I look at my culture, I say, whoa, something is off. Something is way off. What's going on here? What is going on here? Like Allah, for example, will talk about taking care of the orphans. For example, the only orphans we take care of are the ones that show up on a brochure. The only orphans we take care of is a crisis video somewhere far away on a... Do you know the orphans in your neighborhood? You know the orphans in this masjid? You know when was the last time you spoke to the orphans in your own family? There are some orphans in your family. Some kids lost their parents. When was the last time you connected with them? You think when the Sahaba were reading the ayat about orphans, they were looking up who to save thousands of miles away first or in their immediate vicinity? In Surah Al-Talaq, Allah says, when you divorce a woman, do not kick her out of her house. For 3 months or 3 cycles, you cannot expel her from the house. The husband calls the lady's father and says, hey, come take your daughter, I'm done. Allah says, لا تخرجوهن تلك حدود الله. Those are limits set by Allah. And no, but I'm done with her. I said, come take your daughter. Or the woman says, I'm not going to put up with this, I'm out. Allah says, لا يخرجن, and they shouldn't leave. Allah says to the women, they shouldn't leave. When I say we have to have a genuine relationship with the Book of Allah, we have to have loyalty to the Book of Allah, because Ibrahim a.s. showed loyalty to Allah. What I'm saying is our loyalty to Allah is our loyalty to the Book of Allah. How are you going to be loyal to this book? You don't even know what it talks about. How are you going to do that? And there's no excuse. It doesn't matter if you weren't raised learning it. It doesn't matter that you just never didn't have a chance. It doesn't matter if you're a surgeon or you're in medical school, you're a cab driver, you're running an Uber, you're running a restaurant, you're busy. Ain't nobody too busy to nourish themselves with water. I was too busy, I didn't drink for 3 days. Nobody was too busy for that. Because it's nourishment. Your body needs nourishment. You never say you're too busy. Your ruh, your qalb needs nourishment. How can you say you're too busy? How can I say I'm too busy? Ramadan is a time to remind ourselves that the body can wait. It can wait. It's time to reconnect with the word of Allah. Reconnect. So yes, ta'abbudan, we're going to recite the Quran. But man, can you restore the legacy of Ibrahim alayhi salam and the original purpose of Ramadan and not have an artificial relationship and let that begin even from now and take it into hyperdrive during Ramadan? Every one of you should have a goal that you're going to read the Quran mindfully. I don't care which translation. I'm not going to do a QA with which translation should you read. The worst translation on the planet, I don't care. Read the Quran. Ask questions about the Quran. What does Allah mean here? What's He talking about here? I don't get this. I don't get this. Have a whole notebook about your conversation with God. And what is He saying? I want to know more about what He's saying. People hear press release. People hear election news. And then they want to hear somebody explain, what does that mean? What does that mean for the economy? What does that mean for interest rates? What does that mean for house prices? What does that mean for this? They want to get the full scope. Here God Himself is speaking and you're like, there's no desperation. What does that mean? I want to know what this means. I need to understand this better. Develop that thirst. Develop that thirst. I want to redevelop that thirst for myself this Ramadan. I want you to have that thirst this Ramadan. Yes, it's a month of fasting. Yes, it's a month of ibadah. Yes, it's a month of tahajjud. Yes, it's a month of dua. But all of that stuff is actually there to reinforce the core, the heart of the matter. And the heart of the matter is this book came as a guidance in this month. So seek guidance in this book all over again. Every year, renew your connection to Allah. Renew your connection to the Quran. That's what it was supposed to be. That was the objective. So let's put everything else as secondary and this as primary. I'm not saying you have to complete the entire Quran in Ramadan and understand everything. But even if you tell yourself, this Ramadan, Baqarah. This Ramadan, Baqarah. And even if you got through 20 ayat of Al-Baqarah in all of Ramadan, no problem. I got until next Ramadan to finish. Take your time. Take your time with Baqarah. Take a whole year, no problem. This time well spent. Time spent with the word of Allah is time well spent. And then next year, take on Surah Al-Imran. And then the year after that, let's get started with An-Nisa. Why follow this order? Because this is Allah's order. This is Allah's design. There's a curricular design. So let Him coach you through the whole thing. Let Him coach you through His guidance. Let Him coach you through His speech. So this is just the message that I wanted to share with you.